Hello America, yes all of you Americans north and south of the border.
How can you say north and south of the borders? I thought America was the United States.
Well, you must be from one of those bigoted self-serving political parties. If you think America only applies to the not-so-United States, all of Mexico, Central and South America. Not to mention Canada, it's more like these United Corporate States. Just look at all the ridiculous corporate advertising surrounding us all around here. Everywhere you look, you have some type of corporate scam come on with a high interest rate Visa card attached to it.
Well, I do know that all these corporations just love to enslave us all for our entire lives. They call that the American dream. They began programming us from a very early age, branding us with their products. Beer companies do in most all major sports arenas and ballparks, like Budweiser Player of the Week. Or how about Busch Cup NASCAR races and Winston Rodeo sponsorships? Sport mascots can be seen placed throughout all major cities and convenience stores selling beer and hot dogs. Young kids are easily influenced by their sport team heroes. If they can just get us to buy their products for a lifetime, that is a major windfall for the corporation. So of course these corporations love to mentally molest our children with counterproductive ideas compared to what we attempt to teach our children at home, school and in church. Such as eat right, don't drink or don't smoke. Once the corporation has had a few years programming us and our children, we all are forced to think it's all okay. It is totally rigged from the beginning. Most people stick to one particular brand of beer or cigarettes and many other products that are not so good for your health. Do you ever see a sports mascot holding up a basket of fruit, carrots or apples in sports arenas? Do you ever see any large banners advertising truly healthy food products in sports arenas?
You know you're right. It's like we are all a bunch of happy machines. As long as we can drive our gas-guzzling SUV down to the overpriced mall to buy $300 sunglasses or Nike shoes, we are happy. You see, our ego has been stroked by the corporation. What is so funny about that is that we go and spend hundreds of dollars on sports tickets for most all professional level events. Those people playing the sport are all in tip-top shape, eating right and exercising over their entire lives to get to that professional level. Yet throughout the sport complex all you see is corporate advertising products that are horrible for your body. Chemical powdered nacho cheese that looks like heart attack glue. Beer that they gladly sell you for $10 each. Overpriced candy. The list is endless of all the bad things they sell us. To go search out something that's good for you is almost impossible.
Yes, the beer issue is interesting. They sure want you to buy plenty of it while you're there. But as soon as you leave the stadium, you are considered a criminal if you have drank too much of that product. They have been pushing. You're a hero inside Jerry Jones' Ego Stadium, but the cops are out in full force to snare you just outside the gates. Then it costs all sorts of crazy money to buy yourself out of the criminal system. The attorneys, the court fines, the probation fees, the rehab fees, the insurance rate hike fees, the list just goes on and on. Primarily caused by this overwhelming corporatization of America. Yes, you're right, it's like these corporate United States.
It's always about the bottom line of profit. They never take into consideration the impact on the human soul and the destruction of many lives on health issues alone. Not to mention the personal financial impact. The insanity of fast food laced with hormone-filled chicken and meat, over-the-top sugar content in the OPEC special of a barrel-sized big gulp for breakfast with a bag of chips and a hot dog. I see people eating that stuff for breakfast. It's almost like these corporations are purposely feeding the corporate for-profit healthcare system WWDH all sorts of badly nourished, totally out of shape chemical-saturated human product needing their healthcare services. Of course the insurance companies moan and complain about it takes away profit. When they have to pay hospital bills from corporal-induced stress leading to heart attacks. Heart attacks are not the number one killer. It's the corporations creating the entire mixed bag of tricks, unleashed on the unsuspecting public. The public always loses. The corporation always win with the profits generated.
What you're describing here is a perfect example of the CODEX platform of population control. It was implemented back in the early 1960s. Basically it's saying that the earth cannot support billions of people. So they must thin the herd back to around 500 million people worldwide. The designers of CODEX knew that Africa would starve themselves out over time. Perhaps implement new diseases such as AIDS to help stir the pot of death. That is one reason why you see minimal, if any real humanitarian aid from a mass world gov response on a huge scale to help those people. Only smaller organizations attempt to help, but usually there is some kind of religious message and requirement attached to that kind of aid. It's a highly conditional protocol from a religious perspective.
Okay, well that covers Africa, but what about the Western world and the Far East?
That's where McDonald's and other similar types of corporations come in. Poisoning the food chain with all sorts of for-profit secret sauce chemicals. Why do you think Coca-Cola and other corporations always brag about how secret their ingredients are? One big reason is that, if all of us happy machines really knew what was going on, then we would not buy their deadly products. Not to mention the legal issue. Just look what happened when truly healthy food became tainted like spinach. They were shut down once it had killed about 177 people or so. Babies died and grandmothers cried. It didn't matter if they were Republicans, Democrats, Muslims, Christians or atheists, it killed regardless. Thankfully there was some kind of government regulation. Otherwise the corporation responsible would have kept on churning out their product without prejudice, all in the name of profit. Thank God for gov regulation on that one.
Well then that explains why there is so much cancer and disease right now. It's all in the name of profit. These corporations pay lobbyists millions of dollars to help keep their deadly products on the shelves, keep out government intervention and regulation of truly deadly products. The corporations lobby Congress heavily. It's all good for big business and profit-driven mentality. Not to mention the corporations are helping to thin the herds here in the Western world on a mass scale. Capitalism is not democracy, in fact it's the total opposite. That's why I laugh when I see golden arches going up in China, France, Iraq, and most all over the world. Why in the hell would I want to go to China or France to go eat a McDonald's hamburger? To embrace capitalism that is killing all of us? I think not.
If you want to learn more about CODEX, that's CODEX, just Google it. It's also on YouTube with a former CDC director speaking out about CODEX. These corporations are driving humanity into the ground literally. They enslave us to work for them. They enslave us to pay their high interest rates. They scam us into fraudulent mortgages. The list goes on and on. It seems like they are never satisfied with last quarter's profits, but are always wanting more, creating all sorts of stress for their underpaid, overworked slaves. The question is, how much is enough profit? Why do they have to keep raising the bar? One example is Budweiser beer. That product has been completely saturated. They can only increase their share by 1 or 2% maybe. Yet these corporations lay off and don't hire back. They could really care less. They just brainwash so many unsuspecting souls that profit is good no matter what. It's a sad state of affairs. This country was built on the fact that our forefathers were escaping the tyranny of the king and his cronies, corporations such as the India Tea Company, a corporation that was formed back in the 1600s. Originally our forefathers had the great idea to not allow corporations to exist no longer than 20 to 30 years. The corporation was forced to disband and or sold off and lose their charter. The forefathers knew of the evils that corporations wield against the unsuspecting public once they get too large. That all went out the window in the late 1800s when the corporations got individual rights. Just like you and me. The DuPont Corporation cornered the market on saltpeter in England. That saltpeter was used to make gunpowder. DuPont sold the gunpowder to the North and the South. All in the name of profit. Knowing that they would suffer once the public figured out that DuPont was playing both sides of the fence. They got out of the gunpowder business real quick. They now just make chemicals that are poisoning our waters and food chain, all in the name of profit.
It's more like all in the name of death.